Have fun, make new friends, represent your country. Barbados Adventure Race hosts the World Obstacle Caribbean Championships over 3K, singles, 22 obstacles, 10K team challenge, 30 obstacles. It all happens December 3rd, 2022. Take part in a challenging, fun obstacle course set in the spectacular beauty of Barbados. Never done an obstacle race before? Well, try our open wave event. Click the link below for more information and registration. We can't wait to see you in Barbados.
My goal is to walk Roko on the beach instead of the sidewalk. Get Michael to school on time. Go shopping with Danny. Finish today's race. What's your goal?
Ensure Max Protein helps me achieve my goals. It provides 30 grams of high-quality protein to help keep muscles strong and the nutrients my body needs.
Ensure Max Protein users reported feeling more energy in just 2 weeks. Take your routine to the max with Ensure Max Protein.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Barcast podcast. I'm Salt, and today I'm happy to be joined by Run 246, that's what it's called. Yes, Ralph Luther is here, the chief mountain goer, one of the chief proponents of outdoor running in Barbados, and he's here with me at the beautiful, beautiful Peg Farm on a beautiful day, Ralph.
Beautiful day, hot out in the sun, but very pleasant up here in the shade, especially with the breeze coming through right now.
Yeah, man, and we're getting ready for the Amarone Trust 5K. I'm sure that you are ready for it, aren't you?
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
That seems a bit hesitant.
I'll actually be in Chile that weekend running a 50K trail run.
Oh, 50K?
Yes, so I signed up a while ago for that.
Yeah.
And it's down in Patagonia. It's been on my bucket list for a long time.
Is that 50K
But I didn't
in one
expect
go?
George to move his dates. It's 50K in one go, yeah.
Wow.
And it's got about 600-700 meters of elevation.
Yeah.
So the mountain goat training and even a 5K course like here at Peg Farm is helpful. So obviously all of my mountain goats and my trail running group is very much looking forward to.
I'm sure that all the goats will be out in September for the Amarone Trust 5K and also supporting you then on that day in Chile.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd just be running there, not racing, but it's...
I mean, it needs support to run 50K.
Yeah, you do it on your own. That's the beauty with the running. There's nobody else you can blame when it goes wrong, you know? That's why we...
That's an excellent point, though. You do it on your own because a lot of people will hear about the Amarone Trust 5K and wonder, is this for me, you know? You got so many people that are good at trail running. You got so many people that are good at running, and I'm not really a great runner. I don't even know it up there so well. But it's something for everyone when it comes to running. You just do it on your own, as you said.
Yeah, I think what I like and why I'm supporting George with these efforts and have been since he really revived or came up with the obstacle racing and the strong running element that he's had in it, as opposed to just focusing on the actual obstacles, is that it does bring new people into running. And you would have participated last year and the year before in the mountain goat runs, and you may probably not have done that without George providing the incentive, whether it's on a team or individually racing in an obstacle race.
Yes.
So I think we're at the interface, and the 5K is obviously the perfect distance for a reasonably fit person, somebody who goes to the gym 2 or 3 times, whether it's CrossFit. They do a little bit of running. If you've been playing some team sport, you know, maybe some football or some hockey, 5K is not a big deal. And where Barbados has struggled really is transitioning onto the trails.
Yes.
So before COVID, we had a fairly healthy road running season. You know, there'd be a 5 or 10K once a month, twice a month sometimes. But we never had any trail runs. And then it was really the hikers that started becoming a little more competitive, invited some of the runners. And then again, thanks to George. And I think I hope it's not the culmination. I hope it's the beginning of something bigger and more trail races. Mm-hmm. The 5K last year, and the amazing thing was that he pulled it off during COVID.
Yes.
I think this year everyone is really looking forward to it. I think last year was a success.
It really
I've
was.
not had any negative feedback at all. Really great, and I'm really sorry I'm going to miss it personally. But I wasn't going to ask George to move the dates.
Let's talk about the difference between trail running and road running, because you said that we do have a healthy-ish road running scene, but we have been neglecting the beauty of Barbados' countryside. And I think that every place in the world has roads, but the trails in Barbados, how do they stand up in terms of beauty, challenge, the difficulty, etc.? You probably run trails all over the world.
I have run trails in a lot of places. So I think the landscape and the scenery is great. The seasonal and throughout the day weather conditions are not too bad. They're not ideal for it. We're at sea level, which helps, so a lot of the beautiful scenic trails are in the Rocky Mountains, in the Alps, in the Pyrenees, in the Andes. And if you're traveling there, you need a couple of weeks to climatize just because of the lack of oxygen, so the running isn't that much fun. So I think that's a plus for Barbados. What we're lacking are properly marked public trails. A lot of the trails go through private land, and that really poses two difficulties for us trail runners. One is we never know if the owner one day decides to have some cows on it and fence it off, or some development starts. The other issue, it's not worth maintaining it, because you're cutting the grass on somebody else's land, and you may not know for sure that when you come back in 3 months you'll still be able to use that same trail. So we're lacking maps, and people often ask, why don't you publish some maps and running routes? And I continually have to tell people, unfortunately, people are coming into Barbados, people live in Barbados. I mean, you know how many people have not seen half of the hills that we run with the mountain goats. I mean, you've been there, and we've got people say, well, I've never been here. I've always heard of Spar Hill, but I've never actually seen it. And I'm sure some people that came out to the Amarone 5K last year had never been to Peg Farm.
Probably never seen Bowling Alley.
Bowling Alley, yeah, they've heard about it. Have some idea where Horse Hill is, because at some point in their life they went down to Bashaba. Barbados is a great place for trail running, but we do have some challenges. This is where I usually plug the trailway, of course.
Sure, go ahead.
Tell
us, what is the trailway?
Well, the trailway is we're just using the government-owned right-of-way of the abandoned Barbados Railway. And in theory, that gives us 40 kilometers, 25 miles from the heart of Bridgetown all the way to Belle Plaine. And we're focusing on the St. George area, which is flat. And while it is a trail, we are paving the center lane because we're inclusive, and we want cyclists and wheelchair users, maybe even roller skaters, people. It's not just for runners and hikers. We want everyone to enjoy it, and the paving is required to be able to use it year-round. Anybody who's been on those trails in the St. George Valley during the rainy season will know that the mud there is just too much, so that's the reason for the paving. But the east coast section from Concert Bay certainly to Tent Bay Bashaba is going to remain a trail. We're not paving that, and hopefully over time maybe some of the landowners will agree to the mountain bikers. They've started doing shorter sections, some downhill sections that they're maintaining. They've named them, but they've gotten permission from the owners. We haven't got there on the hiking side as yet.
So I'm a reasonably fit person. I go to the gym 2-3 times a day, or I play some football, etc. But I've never run a trail run. But I've heard of the Amarone Trust 5K going on September 24th, and I want to enter. What should I be looking out for in my first ever trail run?
That's a very good question, because there's a big difference between a first run and a first race.
Yes.
So if you're coming out for the first time and you haven't got a lot of trail running experience, I wouldn't take the race aspect too seriously. Even if some people you know and you think, or you know you're fitter than they are, don't try catching them, because you really don't want to be falling over, twisting your ankle, cutting your skin because you're falling, because you're not used to running on the trails. So, what's the difference between running on the trail and running on the road then? Well, it's a skill that you have to acquire, and obviously you've got to lift your feet. Your balance is different. George could probably tell you more about the actual ergonomics, the technique of running. But just like you have different running techniques for between long distance and sprinting, trail running and also hill running, there are certain things that you change. And for most people, the easiest way to do that is by just going out there and practicing.
Practicing it.
Yeah, I mean, you can read about it on the internet. There's a few tips, and you might remember we did that session at Pothouse
yes, we did,
a while ago, so there's a few shortcuts that eventually everybody intuitively adapts to that form or technique anyway, but if somebody tells you and you consciously apply that, then it's just like a shortcut.
Right.
I mean, I think the right shoes, they don't have to be super expensive trail shoes, but some of the lighter running shoes may not be as suitable.
Oh, okay.
Some of the modern running shoes I find have a lot of cushioning and raise your foot actually quite high above the ground.
Yeah.
So that can also put more stress on the ankles on an uneven terrain. On a flat paved road, obviously the more cushioning and the higher, thicker sole does not affect you as much. But when you're stepping onto a rocky terrain or running up and downhill, I find my road shoes tend to not give me that much confidence.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any reason why somebody just wanting for the challenge to come out can't do it in road running shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. So we spoke earlier about Bowling Alley, and that was in last year's Amarone Trust 5K. That's been taken out this year. We got a whole new route this year. Have you been able to see the route as yet?
Yes, last Sunday I was actually out here with a friend of mine who's training for the New York Marathon.
Ah, okay.
And he is at the point where he now is at about half of the marathon distance, about 20 kilometers. So I suggested, I would be 5 times doing the Amarone Trail lap and give us a good feel for what the course looks like.
Oh, so you've run it a few times?
So I've gone around a few times already, yes. And to be honest, the difference is not that big. As you said, no bowling alley.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed that. I thought that was a bit of an equalizer for somebody who's not as fast and competitive anymore. To me, it always felt like this is where the fast guys, because, walking uphill, fast walking uphill, even a slower runner, you can only walk that fast.
Right.
Obviously, the recovery for the fitter guys is better. But I still felt like, it's like when I used to do triathlons, I always enjoyed the open water swims because I was never a good swimmer. And the efficient good swimmers, they would slow down in the waves and I would just try and plow through them.
Yeah.
So now the new, it's not really a big change. I think, George, 60-70% of it is probably still the same.
About 70%, yeah. Just the bowling alley feature has been replaced, with what we call it cane.
So from a trail running point of view or cross country, I think it's a very classic additional section. It adds a couple more 90-degree turns.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it's not going to be a huge field, and it just breaks up the running a little bit. I find the 90-degree turns, I don't mind them.
Right.
And from what I remember, there's quite a nice dip.
Yeah, there is.
So that adds another challenge to it, and it kind of breaks up the long climb at the beginning. I don't know if people remember. I think the start is the start's going to be moved back, but it's going to be essentially almost a kilometer now of downhill.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Or maybe half a mile, and then we used to have that long climb to the campground, and that's just been extended by a little bit. Obviously, the elevation change is still going to be the same, but the distance to get to the campground from the bottom of the main road is going to be a little longer.
Yeah.
So I think that's not a bad feature at all.
I never really studied that as elevation because the older road used to go down. It had a dip there as well. So yeah.
It didn't feel as pronounced. So.
As this one, the downhill of this dip is a lot more pronounced. Yeah.
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 Yeah, so it goes down, and I don't know, it extends it by 400 meters or 500 meters on that side?
I can't be sure. I've only run it once, actually.
Yeah.
You still have your stairs in it?
We still have the stairs, and then I think from then on it's pretty much the same course, except when we get out by onto the road before Bowling Alley, we'll just continue straight left onto the road, make the left turn, and come back inside Peg Farm.
Is it 3 different types of terrain really that we cover on this run on the 24th? Yeah, but you have the main road, the road asphalt, you have the cane grounds, then you have like a whole section here which is lawn almost.
Yes. Yeah.
I find that the running on the lawn on this section here, going up past the lookout point, is a little bit tricky. Why does that prove so difficult for some people, or you don't know?
Well, I think that's where the mental part of running comes into it, because you're running along the ridge, you get the odd view down the cliff onto the sea, but every turn looks very similar, and you always think, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? Right?
Yeah.
So mentally, a lot of runners, they literally go from one corner, from one obstacle or one landmark to another.
Yeah, right.
And this is a reasonably uniform stretch, even though it does have some ups and downs and some gentle curves. It always, at the end of the day, on each lap that we did, it always felt longer than we thought it would be.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Okay, so you've experienced it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I think that's, again, it's a nice feature. It makes it an interesting run.
Yeah.
And you're coming off the steps, and it's not just the steps. I mean, there's quite a steep section at the top of the steps still, until you really get to the grassy section. Well, it's grassy up there too, but where it kind of flattens out along the...
Yeah, because when you come off the steps, it's
cliff.
Steep and sloped to the side as well, sloped a bit to the right.
And it slopes a bit to the right, yeah. No, I think it's essentially, I think, from a overall effort and challenge, I don't think it's very different from what it was last year. I really don't think so. And it may be a little safer, especially if it's wet,
right?
Because we don't have the issue of bowling alley up and down. We don't have the traffic issue. So I think in that sense it is probably an improvement from a safety point of view, and it certainly isn't any worse from a runner's experience.
And if George is holding an event on September 24th, look for rain, guys. Just know that. Look for rain. All right, so I think we've talked about it a lot. I'm sure people watching the podcast may want to see what we've been talking about. So what we're going to do actually is something different for this podcast. We actually want to go on the course a bit with you, Ralph. I understand you don't have your running gear, so what we're going to do, we're going to walk and trot the course a bit.
Sure.
All right, man.
Always happy to do that.
Have fun, make new friends, represent your country. Barbados Adventure Race hosts the World Obstacle Caribbean Championships over 3K, singles, 22 obstacles, 10K team challenge, 30 obstacles. It all happens December 3rd, 2022. Take part in a challenging, fun obstacle course set in the spectacular beauty of Barbados. Never done an obstacle race before? Well, try our open wave event. Click the link below for more information and registration. We can't wait to see you in Barbados.
Okay, so Ralph, you're here at what is going to be the new start of the Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mates. So we started a little further back. Guys who have been here before, you notice as the finishing stretch almost. We saw when you come at the train, you look for this blue, is a chicken coop. Yeah, it is not blue-green. Chicken coop here. Span over there, guys. Good, nice. And so essentially we're starting on this narrow path on this kind of surface.
Not ideal, I would say, but again, goes back to what I said earlier. Nobody's going to run a personal record or some national record here, age group or otherwise, on a 5K route. So the beauty with trail running is that you really, you're running against yourself, and it's a physical challenge. So I would just encourage people on a route like this, with this start, to just hold off a little bit at the beginning.
Hold off and let me go in front.
Completely crazy, especially the stronger runners. And I would also say that it's actually a nice feeling. I started as I got older and did more racing. To sit back at the beginning, it's such a positive feeling to pass people later in the race. When I was young, I would go off and I'd run out of fuel and people would be passing me towards the end of the race, and that's just mentally very challenging. So that's kind of how I would respond to, I would say, a not quite ideal starting area. But again, as I said, it's not, nobody's going to trying to beat the clock here on this course.
And in true bar race fashion, stand by, go! So Ralph, we're on the course right now. We've started, come off the main road. We are on the first real section of trail for the Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mix. And now we are going on in to what is a new section of the course. The first time we are ever going onto this part of the course, and it's the right-hand turn that takes us over onto Hackerton's Cliff, all right? So right-hand turn here into another set of cane ground. Now this is what we call the cane ground feature of the Amarone Trust 5K. You were telling me about the dip earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, so I like the trail runs to have different challenges, not just a single straight up and then back down. So I think this is the added nice feature, and to some extent the bowling alley replacement.
Almost, yeah.
And for those who are not running this route before the actual race day, they may be surprised, because I think this dip, when we look at it, I don't know if George can catch that on the camera, but it is actually not as bad as bowling alley, but it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Okay, yes. Let's get a little closer to it then, and we're going to see just how challenging it is, Ralph. So we're going to do here now, we're going to walk straight down to the dip. So we run down the trail, and as you said, if this is the first time we're running it, all of a sudden you see this massive, what looks like a gully.
It does look like a gully, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So,
your first time seeing it.
It's a rainy day. I don't know how high it fills with water, so...
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
I think it does. It may get a little muddy down there, so that'll be fun. But at the other end, and you may just see the utility pole, I think that's where the road is.
Yeah.
So there's a stretch of asphalt. Make another 90 left, I think.
Continue, yeah.
So...
But
this is great running terrain. There's hardly any rocks here.
Yeah,
so
this is really smooth, yeah. I don't know how fit the cameraman is feeling right now, so we get him a little closer to the dip, and they're going to run up the other side of it so y'all guys can see. Yeah, I flip-flops as well, but it's coming down here. You got to be careful on the down, and then all of a sudden, you got to use that momentum and get yourself up this side of the dip. Look, I made it. Yeah. It's equally challenging coming in the other direction. But that's the first new feature of the Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mix for 2022. That dip there.
It's unlike bowling alley, no cars to deal with.
No cars to deal with, guys. All right, so we've come off of the Hackerton feature now, back into the campsite. The difference is also during the campsite, instead of coming into the gully, we enter from this area here. We had a tricky descent that would take us into the gully in previous iterations of the Amarone Trust 5K, but that bottleneck has been taken out, and you come on this what we call main road for a 5K and straight up the steps. Thoughts on that, Ralph?
Yeah, I think that was maybe one of the challenges of last year's course, that while that little narrow section that was very steep, that you literally could not run, is a nice feature on a longer trail run. Really enjoyable to have that. In a 5K with a larger field, that will create a bottleneck.
Yeah.
And if somebody slips or has an issue, not that anybody's going to get seriously hurt, but the other runners feel obliged to stop and check on them, and it kind of takes you off the rhythm. I mean, this still is a race, you know, where there's a competitive element.
Yeah.
So you want to really avoid anything that even gives the appearance of somebody maybe getting into some kind of distress or something. So I think coming down the main cart road, that is the access road to the campsite, nothing paved or anything, but I think it'll allow people to continue, but to actually pick up a little bit of pace after the initial. And then get ready for this nice feature here, I think. Because,
as you said, now you're coming off of the campsite, so you're going to come off with more speed, and you don't have to break the speed because of the bottleneck. You come straight here with speed onto the steps. Now, are you every step guy or every other step guy when you're climbing stairs?
Every step. I've got short legs, and I just use it for different rhythm. Again, the trail running, it's not a monotonous cadence. You know, you're constantly changing your cadence. You're changing the frequency with which your feet touch the ground, but also the length of your stride.
Yeah.
So this is a nice rest for some muscles. And there's a way you can almost recover. On the other hand, obviously, when you get to the top, some of your muscles that you don't use that much for your regular long straight running, they'll be burning when you get to the top, but then you know you're going to rest them later anyway.
Oh, okay, so you use the short
so
steps
my technique is to do the short ones, yes.
To employ different muscles. Give their bigger muscles a thing, so we go in pit pop.
Yep.
All right. So we pitter-pattering all the way, one step. Punch. Or you use your arms.
Use your arms, punch, yeah. You've got energy stored in your upper body.
Use the arms. So
they help you take some stress off your hamstrings. Yeah, they're just classic hill running.
And we're going to let you all guys know, yes, you have to do the stairs. The stairs is a mandatory feature. It's a part of the course, so don't skip the stairs. I think you're going to get a time or even a participation medal. Have to do the stairs, and it's important that you know that there right now. Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mix, 24th of September. We want to see you there.
My goal is to finish my morning run and help Natalie with her test. Ensure Max Protein provides 30 grams of high-quality protein to help keep muscles strong, satisfy hunger, along with other key nutrients my body needs. Take your routine to the max with Ensure Max Protein.
Ralph, so thank you very much for joining me today as we went through some of the new features of the Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mix. It's going on September the 24th. This pole here that I'm by is actually the standard finish line for anything that we're doing for the 5K. So when you come out to train it, guys, train it and practice with this pole in mind as you finish. Thank you very much, Ralph, for coming and joining us today on the Barcast podcast. A different one, the first outdoor one. Of course, if we're doing an outdoor one, we had to call the Chief Mountain Goat.
We would prefer outdoors, yeah, so I couldn't run with you this morning.
Yeah.
Or this afternoon, I should say. And yeah, thanks to George for putting this on. I know there's a lot of interest. So we need more of these events, and I'm always happy to support it. I'm sorry I'm going to miss it this year, but hopefully there'll be more soon.
We're sorry that you're going to miss it as well. I want to thank Peg Farm all the time for lending us their beautiful facilities. You know, they've got a magnificent place out here. Come out to Peg Farm anytime you want. Support Peg Farm, guys, because they support Bar. And of course, we want to thank you for watching, and thank you for logging on to BarbadosAdventureRace.org and registering for the Amarone Trust 5K Trail Mix. Is going on this year. 2022 is going to be even bigger and better than last year. And I need you to follow bar_race on Instagram so you know everything that's coming up for the rest of the year. And remember, never, ever, ever stop talking about bar.
Have fun, make new friends, represent your country. Barbados Adventure Race hosts the World Obstacle Caribbean Championships over 3K, singles, 22 obstacles, 10K team challenge, 30 obstacles. It all happens December 3rd, 2022. Take part in a challenging, fun obstacle course set in the spectacular beauty of Barbados. Never done an obstacle race before? Well, try our open wave event. Click the link below for more information and registration. We can't wait to see you in Barbados.